for every American and just let the government hire all of the unemployed at $100,000 a year, and the problem's solved.
Well, let me let me back you up for a second. Hey, look, Mike. Here's a question. A whole bunch of people, me included, take a look at this. Well, for example, at the markets, we take a look at the markets and we go, wait a minute. We must be doing good. Look at the markets. They've recovered from 6.5, 6.4 up to the mid 9s. Things must be okay. And yet, didn't you tell me Nouriel Roubini was talking about the markets this week?
Yeah, Roubini has come out and said that the market's gone up too much, too fast, too soon. He's projecting a significant pullback both in the stock market and commodity markets, and he's talking about that paper bubble I've been talking to you about now for like the last 2 months.
Now, Mike, let me ask you a question. We're just
the guy's question who went in. Were investment. You know, the whole key to any investing strategy is timing and trend line. Now, finally, they've got some people that are coming out and are saying what I've been saying now for quite a while. When people think of stimulus, they think of the TARP money and they think of the Recovery Act money, that $787 billion, which only 1/3 of that has been spent.
Yeah.
And I want to get into that because that has now developed into what happened in the unemployment report this week and the lost jobs. But back to this guy's question, I don't want to digress too much here. 82% of all the stimulus money, and what I've got to explain a little more simple here, that's not the 787. That is not the TARP money. The major part of the stimulus money that's been put out there is what everybody's been calling Bernanke printing dollars by the Fed, qualitative, quantitative, physical, and monetary stimulus. 0% interest rate. Fiscal stimulus is like the tax refund they gave to everybody back in April. And then the quantitative stimulus is the Fed has been buying our own debt. The Fed has been buying mortgage-backed securities and been buying Treasury bills. When we talk about Greenspan later, that's an interesting thing on some of the things he said about what the Fed's been doing. 82% of all of that everybody says is printing money is frozen in the banking system. They're not loaning it out.
Now, Mike, wait a minute. I know how the banks operate. They're just not going to let that money sit there. They're playing the commodity markets in some respects, aren't they?
It's gone into the stock market. It's gone into the commodity markets. It's gone into the paper market.
And that's why we see the stock market at the level that it's at, correct?
Right. And so if the individual out here wants to climb in and try that game, they can say to me, Mike, look, look how much run-up you've missed. I said, yep, I know I've missed that. And if I thought that anybody would know the timing when to sell out before you get wiped out, I would have said try and run it up. But those big banks that are doing this, they know when to get out. If you look at commodity prices, if you look at the graph on commodity prices since it went from $32 up to $74, you please note at the beginning of each week, generally oil and gas fall, and then all of a sudden they're right back up to $70 at the end of the week. That's Citibank. That is Goldman Sachs. That is your big commodity players who what they do is they run it up to 72, and they're watching what they're doing. And they're the first ones, and then they get out. They take their profit, and they drive it back down to around $62 to $65 a barrel. And then it slowly climbs back up, and then they get out again.
So they're pumping themselves back up for the losses they've endured across the last year. Mike, hang on a second. We got to finish this. Can you put a button on it right there?
I sure can.
Thank you, sir. It's Texas Overnight, folks. If you have a question, I'll get you the numbers in just